Right, so let's open up first. So we're going to be reviewing Pacific Rim, Unsane, and Ready Player One. So let's kick off.
Big films, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think these films were very summer-like, to be honest.
Yeah,
Really
yeah. I think it's the start of summer season starting here early.
And all ducking Infinity Wars, like mad stuff. Yeah, let's release it now. Let's not get involved in all of that. Right, so first up is Pacific Rim Uprising, which is the sequel to the 2012, I'm going to say, 2012 Pacific Rim. So this picks up following the events of the first Pacific Rim movie, which was a story about, simply put, robots beating up giant alien monsters. Pretty straightforward. But it was directed by Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro. Yes, and it was actually a really amazing film, and I loved it, and I think you loved it too.
Oh, I watched it so many times.
So we had a lot of hype bringing into this movie. This stars John Boyega, Scott Eastwood, Charlie Day, actually. So the story picks up following the first movie. The war is over, and now the world is recovering 10 years down the road. And obviously the Kajiu return with a vengeance, and this story pretty much follows that arc. So right, I'll let you
start.
Let you start.
Well, where do I even begin? I mean, when I first saw that Idris Elba wasn't there, I knew there was something going wrong.
Also, when Del Toro wasn't attached to it either.
Well, Del Toro is producing, which I thought maybe there is a glimmer of hope. But this film, let me tell you folks, it's shit. It's utter shite. Like, I'm not even joking. It's worse than, no, not worse than Batman vs Superman, but as bad as Batman vs Superman.
I mean, I'll be honest too. My views on it is very poor. I think that's mainly because the first one I loved so much, and I think the influence of Del Toro is most certainly missed from this one. You can just tell it feels like a totally different movie. But
it feels like a B film. It feels like a B movie done by a director who doesn't have much experience.
To be honest, the director is DeKnight, and it's his directorial debut. So, I mean, you can pretty much see
that shows, yeah.
Yeah, there's no real angle he's going for, or no special, like, footprint of his to say this is his film. But, you know, let's start with something good. I don't want to rain upon it from the go.
Okay.
So do you have anything nice to say?
I do, yes. I thought John Boyega is very charismatic and charming.
Yes,
he always pulls his weight in the film.
I really think he was by far the best part of this movie, and any scene he was in was straight away, you know, the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. He's just got this charm about him, which is, and there's this magnetism about him, which he fills that role very well.
Yeah.
And he brings in humor as well as you can understand. He's got emotions behind it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy he was there. I'm happy that was the reason why I got to watch the film.
It's hard to replace Idris Elba from the first movie because he was just simply magnificent in Pacific Rim. So obviously there's a big task.
Today we're cancelling the apocalypse. No one beats that.
And also, I suppose you can't go wrong with the fight scenes, like the final fight scene when all the aliens combine and just destruction and mayhem and chaos. It was crap. That is pretty much what Pacific Rim is.
No, it was crap.
I mean, it wasn't as great as the first movie, but you know, as a positive, I can say those scenes were good. I'm not gonna lie.
If you're like under 10-year-old, you will enjoy that.
If you just want to see robots punching giant aliens and chaos, you know, it's great.
But like you were saying, that punch now doesn't have that weight behind it. It's just like cartoony.
That's what brings me on to like the negative side of things. Like the fights are, I mean, as a visual spectacle, they're massive. Destruction of Tokyo, you know, like Godzilla references and stuff like that.
So much.
But bringing it on to the negatives, I mean, I don't know where to start. Firstly, I think the characters from the first movie, I don't want to spoil it, just get totally like destroyed here. Like from the first movie, they're wasted in this movie. I'm like, what's the point of
bringing them back anyway?
If you're just going to waste their characters away. Secondly, and I think more importantly, it just does not feel like the first movie. I think Del Toro has such an influence on that first movie. It had such gravitas and intensity. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a cheesy movie. And, you know, the foundation is just robots, aliens beating each other up. But it was still a serious movie. Like, it still had a very serious message.
It was done with such realism as well.
Exactly. It was a serious war they were doing. You know, this could be the end of the world if we mess this up. Whereas here it's just like, just for some random kids, they're fine, they're flying around like it's a school trip.
Yeah, and this time they're literally kids. They're like 10 years, I think one of them is 14-year-old.
I mean, she did, what's her name? Kaylee Spaney. I mean, she was decent. I mean, she...
No, she wasn't.
I mean, compared to the rest of the film, I mean,
That's not a bar we should adhere to.
Well, to be honest, she hadn't much to work now. When I first saw her, I thought she's going to be like the one from Transformers. And that was an annoying character.
Alright, it's not as bad as Transformers.
That's what I mean. Like, I thought she's gonna be really, but I thought, you know what? She isn't actually the worst part of this film.
Yeah.
She's perfectly okay. But the kids just really makes it feel like a totally different movie. I'm like,
I mean, the problem is not that the kids didn't act well. The problem is that they had kids in there piloting massive robots rather than people with experience, like mental capacity
that's
and
what the
mental
first movie made very clear.
stern.
Like, these guys have to be mentally, they're not just physically, they have to be on it to, command these things. Whereas now it's just anyone can just get in and fly around and do their stuff. Because it just feels like a Power Rangers movie, which is okay in a Power Rangers movie.
Power Rangers film.
Yeah, but here, these robots are serious business. You can't just get anyone to randomly fly these things and they're doing somersaults like it's nothing. I'm like, they shouldn't be able to pull this off.
Yeah.
What else do I have here? The product placement. To be honest, this felt very much like a Transformers movie so much. Like, the product placement, Age of Extinction was full of product placement. Whereas here, in the beginning 5 minutes, there's 3 different brands being presented. I'm thinking, oh, what is this? I've already got a bad feeling about this. You shouldn't have that many product placements off the bat.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's also the weird mention of how hot or attractive everyone is, which is like really weird. I'm like, what is this doing in this movie?
You mean Scott Eastwood?
Yeah, like constantly mentioning, oh, look at him, he's so perfect. Then even John Boyega, look at me, I'm gorgeous, it's not easy to be this hot. I'm like, what is this doing in this movie?
No, but John Boyega's one is fine because he's just being...
But even then, to even bring those references up, it's like, it feels out of place in this movie. In a Transformers movie, that's what Michael Bay does. So you don't really notice. But here, I'm like, the first movie didn't have that kind of stuff in it.
Maybe this is the stamp of this director.
Yeah,
he just likes to show that every actor is good looking.
Scott Eastwood isn't even that. He's just got the same face for the entire movie. Like, my face is perfect, I don't want to move it. I'm just going to have the same expression.
Speaking of Scott Eastwood, I thought he was a terrible actor.
Yeah, he's
he
very
just put a very poor performance. He didn't look like a head of the army. Well, he wasn't head of the army.
This is a very generic army, bro.
Not even like someone who could command other people to do stuff. He was literally commanding the children, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and that's the kind of role that probably fits him. He's like...
they tried to use him to replace Paul Walker in The Fast. His name was like, no, we're not having
Paul Walker?
Like, they tried to replace his character in the Fast movie.
Oh, in the Fast and Furious
He's like the new guy. So they tried to use him to replace him. You can tell.
No.
But it just didn't work.
Terrible.
Also, we have, just want to mention one more thing, is the random third pilot lady, whoever she is. They tried to make some sort of weird love triangle for no reason. Like, there's some weird flirtation stuff happening between John Boyega and Scott Eastwood and their like hot colleague. And for some reason, it teased like she's into both of them for some reason, and then it's just never spoken of ever again. I'm thinking, why did he even bother with that subplot? What's the point of it all? Is this Michael Bay in disguise? I don't know. And they literally have put this weird like freeway. I'm like, fair enough. They never mention it. And it even shouldn't be in that film in the first place because this isn't about...
No.
But
anyway... the other things about the film was, you haven't mentioned this, the story. The bloody story. It's just one of the worst. It's one of the worst story I've seen in the last, I don't know, decade maybe, in a film of this bigger budget.
I'm more annoyed is the fact it just destroyed the first movie's whole point. Like, it just rewrites the motives of the enemy, what everything was. It's like...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like
that didn't bother me too much, but what bothered me was the direction they took of what brings the kaiju back.
Yeah, and what they do with a certain character.
What they would do with a certain character. I don't want to spoil this, but this was so bad.
Yeah, it just didn't...
And it was just so unrealistic. It looked to me as if the director's or the screenwriter's son just said, "Daddy, can you do that? That would look pretty cool." I said, "Yeah, son, you're the guy, you're the man." Right.
I think we've ramped it on a bit too much on this one, but let's quickly sum it up. How would I quickly give it a summary? Keep it clean, keep it PG.
Difficult to do. I mean, it's a crap film. Don't watch. Like, seriously, I'm not joking. Terrible film. Don't watch it.
Mine is never go full Transformers, man. And this is what this movie did. You went full Transformers, and this is what you get, man.
Yeah.
And they also tried to hint a sequel at the end. I'm like, don't stop hinting sequels in movies now. It's not cool, especially when the movies are a pile of like rubbish. Keep it clean. Okay, right. So moving on.